I want to welcome you to the Pro Mindset Podcast. The Pro Mindset Podcast is all about diving into the headspace that results in championship performance. High-performing athletes, winners, have this mental flow and have a positive headspace for their performances and success. Join me, Craig Domann, sports attorney and NFL agent, on this podcast. I will interview pro athletes, college athletes, football coaches, and sports personalities. Together, we can discover how you can get in the flow and have your own pro mindset. Hey, today on Pro Mindset, I have my oldest son, JoJo. JoJo, welcome to Pro Mindset today.
Thanks for having me, Dad.
All right, buddy. All right, so just so you know what kind of chip on my shoulder I got going on today is we went over to the golf course and played mini games. JoJo, can you give everybody kind of a description of what this is?
Mini games we take as serious or more serious as actual golf, except, we create a point system on the chipping and putting green. Today I swept Craig in a putting and then chipping and then back to putting and then one more putting round just because he wanted to beat me, but no can do today. I was on.
So when did this dominance start? Was this like at 14, 12? Post ACL for me?
Yeah, dude, you've been on a downhill slope ever since your ACL. But, we still get the best of each other sometimes, so it just depends on the day, really. Okay, so JoJo is going to be a super senior at Nebraska. He's coming back for his 6th year. Probably never dreamed when you left Pine Creek that you would be at Nebraska for 6 seasons, fair? Yeah.
But you do have the opportunity because of the free year, to really dominate in 2021. So what's your mindset and what's your approach been the last few months getting ready for the season, which kicks, your practices and whatnot? You have to report here in about 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, I think I've been more focused on the locker room and the team dynamics more than I ever have. Just trying to really focus on the team aspect and not necessarily any individual statistics or accomplishments, but really just wanting to win and win games with the guys in the locker room. So I've been on that grind more so than I've ever been since I've been in Nebraska.
How's that going to help?
Well, there's more than one guy on the field. If I get a pick six, that helps the whole team. But if the whole defense and the whole offense, defense, special teams is firing on all cylinders because everybody believes and everyone's on the same mission with the common purpose, that's way more strong and dangerous than one player making plays whenever the ball goes his way.
Well, I think it's fair to say that at least the 2020 abbreviated season, that the different teams weren't necessarily on the same page. It felt like some teams were ahead of others. So, high tide rises all boats. So if you guys can get all 3 phases of the game rocking, it's going to show up hopefully in the win column on Saturdays.
Right. That's the mindset.
That's the plan. Win more games. You win more games, more people get drafted. The players that get drafted higher. Coaches get raises and promotions and new jobs, and everybody looks good.
Yep.
Okay, so let's go back to, what is your first memory of playing tackle football?
First memory of playing tackle football was with Brock right here in this basement.
I was going to say that doesn't count.
We'd have to circle around this couch right here. So we put our backs to each other and then we'd meet each other, as kind of like a semicircle around the couch. We put bean bags there, but it never stayed on a bean bag. We went crashing into these cabinets more often than not. Somebody always ended up with a busted lip or hurt or crying or whatever. So that's probably my first memory.
What about organized team football? What's your first memory?
Well, I was in I played flag football until 6th grade when you and Mom let me play tackle. And then I just remember feeling like an uncaged animal, being able to just throw myself into people and not get in trouble for it, and actually get congratulated for it and applaud for it. So,
yeah, there's no doubt. The first scrimmage we had, you took somebody out and put the kid in some parent's lap who was sitting in a lawn chair. Was it more fun back in the day to make a big hit
or to, because you scored a lot of touchdowns in your day, was it more fun to be like Reggie Bush and score a touchdown?
They were equally as fun, because I remember just, like the 3 or 4 steps before you meet the guy, like you're just visualizing in your head like how you're about to smoke this dude and just like preparing yourself before he even sees you. And I just love that feeling and like the crunch of just smacking somebody and they're slow getting up and you're walking up over them. But then also like changing fields like Reggie Bush, running from sideline to sideline, just like people trying to drag you down by the back of your jersey, by your socks, by your pants, and not being able to. So there are similar feelings, but I wouldn't equate one over the other. They're both just as awesome.
Well, in high school, you did a lot of both, played both ways.
Yeah.
And you kicked. Have you ever thought about kicking at Nebraska?
If they need me, I'm available. I still got it. I mean, I would like a heads up so I can,
practice a little bit.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, who was your coach in youth football?
It was you.
Yeah. How good was your coach?
At the time, I had my opinions, and I thought, I should have had the ball every play. Should have been at quarterback, running back, every play. But you did a really awesome job, like hindsight 2020, that, playing every position on the football field, playing lineman, playing receiver, playing tight end, playing D-end, linebacker, safety, corner. Like, you didn't play daddy ball with me, which we've talked about before. Like, you spread the wealth, and it honestly made me more of a team player. It made me better versed, like, across the board at position, and just a better football player in general, because I understood what each position needed to be successful. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'll never forget. You were so upset at me because I had you playing, I believe, right tackle, and you blocked a kid on a run play like 40 yards downfield.
Yeah.
I mean, just kept blocking him. He couldn't get off your block, and you literally just drove block him all the way for 40 yards. So one of my fondest memories, I don't know if you remember this, but a couple times I'd call a really good offensive play, and you didn't get to carry the ball, and we'd score. And then I'm like feeling really good about myself because, I got so-and-so the ball, the play worked, and you come off the field, and out of nowhere you just like start screaming at me like, that was a stupid play.
Yeah.
And I'm like, stupid? Why was it stupid? He said, it's just a stupid play. What was going on in your mind?
I just wanted the ball, and like even though we scored, it could have been more flashy. We could have scored quicker, maybe perhaps. That's probably where my head was at, I mean, just reminiscing on me drive blocking those dudes like downfields and getting penalties on it. Like that was my way of being seen. Like if I wasn't getting the ball and being flashy with all eyes on me with the ball, I was going to get all eyes on me blocking somebody downfield. So that's what that was.
So that's exactly what that was.
That's what that was.
Okay. So you had a tremendous freshman year in high school, playing quarterback and playing kind of like an outside backer kind of position. Then you went to varsity. Do you remember the first game of your varsity career as a sophomore and the conversation we had that morning?
I don't remember our conversation, no.
Okay. So JoJo was Superman his freshman year. The coaches wanted him to be the guy. There was a senior that didn't want JoJo to play. So in practice all through camp, was stealing reps from you, and when the coaches sent you in, he'd send you back, and you were acquiescent to him. And I remember waking you up for breakfast, first game your sophomore year, and you're like, hey, why aren't I playing? Why am I not starting? And I said something like, I've been waiting for you to ask me, because for like 3 weeks I knew the answer. I knew the answer to the question of why you weren't starting, but you didn't know, and I needed you to figure it out. But it didn't really hit you until game day, first game, when there were other sophomores starting and you weren't starting.
Yeah.
And yet you were the best player that we had in the sophomore class.
Right.
Do you remember that conversation now?
Yeah, it was basically, I think if I remember correctly, it was about like stepping up and being confident and taking the reps from him, and like not just like letting them take the reps from me, like almost showing that I wanted the reps more than him. Is that what it is?
That's what it was. The coaches wanted to know that you wanted it. The coaches wanted you to play there, but they didn't think you wanted to play there because you kept letting him take your reps away.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't until third game of that season that he got beat. He was playing both ways. He was getting tired. He got embarrassed on a touchdown, and the coaches sent you in, and then you never looked back. And then as you matriculated on defense, into the defense and the offense, you became a two-way, three-way player for the rest of your high school career.
I remember he came up to me in that game, and after I went in a couple series, it's probably after he cooled down and like accepted that he's just going to score touchdowns on offense and not go both ways. He just came over to me and was like, yo, that's your position now. Like, we need you. Like, you earned it. Like, run with it, basically. I remember that.
That's cool. So one of the things that, everybody sees you as a Nebraska football player, but you were a Pine Creek football player before that, and you won a couple state championships, and you had the opportunity to play lots of different positions. What's your fondest memory of high school football?
Probably like the winning culture. We won 37 games in a row.
Yes.
From my first start, my sophomore year, all the way until my last game. Wow. Yeah. So yeah, just all that space and time in between was like just like building confidence and belief in ourselves that, we are who we think we are and who we say we are, and that the hype is real. And I remember after my freshman year, like we were sitting in the living room and I was like, there's no way I'm not the best player in Colorado. Like I dominate, I feel that way about myself, and like I one day hopefully prove it. And then for that to come full circle, my senior year being named Gatorade Player of the Year was amazing. But yeah, just the winning culture and all the fun memories of having fun and just knowing you're gonna beat the crap out of the guy across from you, and even like the tough games, 1 versus 2 in the state, like just really we had no fear of failure. We just were like, dude, we're gonna go out there and beat these guys. It doesn't matter what they're ranked or what we're ranked. We're better than everybody.
Well, I would say that the other thing is you guys had great camaraderie. You had like a boys club, almost like fraternity.
Yeah.
Among your players, and everybody jumped on. We had a really good 7-on-7 off-season program. And then we had buy-in. Guys bought in. And everybody knew that, hey, we were going to be practicing on Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. Every year the goal was to be practicing on Thanksgiving, which means that you're playing in the state championship the weekend after that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move to Nebraska. You were recruited by Mike Riley, Trent Bray. You go to Nebraska, you play as a freshman on special teams. Come back, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on your injuries, but you had a couple injuries your second season, actually second semester your freshman year, tore your ACL. Tore it again 7 months later. Looking back now, that's so far in your rearview mirror, you don't even want to talk about it, you probably don't even want to think about it. But how has that helped mold you into who you've become now?
Well, I've said this many times, like for the first time it made me ask myself, who am I without football? So it was really like an ego death. Like it was a death and a rebirth, because like part of me died, like all the dreams that I set out for myself, like for all intent and purposes, like were dead to me. I couldn't even walk up the stairs, couldn't put on my own underwear. And then for it to happen again, I felt like I was in this loop, in this cycle that I didn't feel like I was going to get out of, like in the moment. But and it made me tune into like my heart and my soul and that deeper knowingness of like this will pass, even though, I really had no idea how it was going to or how long it would take, but I just trusted that gut feeling that it's going to pass. And when it does, I still want to accomplish everything that I've always wanted to accomplish, which is, play big time college football and make it to the NFL. So it a part of me died, but it allowed me to really just rebirth into who I wanted to be and manifest morals, values, and the work ethic and determination and resilience that you need in life. So I learned so many life skills during that low time in my life that was ultimately a blessing in disguise. So yeah.
Okay, so last modified 2020, you led your team, the Blackshirts, in tackles, total tackles. You played about 99% of the plays. What did you learn? Obviously you're going into your super senior year, but this past season, and with COVID and delays and football's on, football's off, football's on again, all these tasks every single day, there was a lot of BS going on. How did you benefit from 2020 as a man as well as a football player from that experience?
Yeah, as a football player, it created this tunnel vision for me because like there wasn't fans in the stands, and because we practiced more than any other team in the country leading up to our first game. It really just made me focus on like the fundamentals and the little things, and yeah, I led the team in tackles, but there's just so much more I have to give, and so much I'm capable of so much more than I produced last season. And I grew as a man during COVID because, yes, like there was a lot of like outside noise on, there's a pandemic, we're living in a world pandemic, but for me, I really used it as an opportunity to just focus on what matters. Like all of a sudden, all these classes are online, and like we were isolated, and I saw that as a beautiful thing. Really allowed me to just like, I guess, double down on everything I'm about and the process that I've created for myself, and like and what it takes to be successful. So I really tried to use it to propel me. Like, okay, if all these other people are distracted with what's going on in the world, like I can use this time to really just focus on the fundamentals. And it was almost like another season of like my ACLs, where it really just brought me back to home base. And it's like, okay, we're all locked up in this house. Where do I want to be? Who do I want to be? And how do I want to be it when this season passes?
Okay, so moving into 2021, what can Husker fans expect to see from you? I'm not talking about pick sixes and all that kind of stuff, but what are you going to bring to the table? What are you going to bring to the team? And perhaps this is a double-sided question. What can the fans expect? And then what can your coaches and teammates expect?
That's a one and the same question for me.
Okay.
I'm just gonna give 1,000% every game, every play, not just run to the ball, but run to hit to the ball, and they can expect high energy, high motor, positive, always keeping an optimistic perspective, a winning mentality, a dog mentality, leading with resilience and effort and love, and just like I hope that like the fire that burns within me when I get to play the game of football is reflected on the outside, and that for everyone can feel that from me. And it's going to manifest into big plays. It's going to manifest into wins, and if it doesn't, then I know that I left everything and gave everything to this game and to my teammates and to this fan base and to the program, and it is what it is. And I'm at a place with myself where I can live with that as long as I'm, getting better and putting my best foot forward.
What's the coolest thing about playing college football at Nebraska when we have 90,000 fans in the stands? What's the coolest thing?
Yeah, 100% that it just means more to the Nebraska fan base, to the people in Nebraska. Like that was one of the big pulls why I even came here, was I wanted to play college football somewhere where it mattered, and where else does it matter more than Nebraska? So the impact and influence that us players and coaches have on the fan base is just insane, and that I just get to be myself and spread love and positivity and that people receive it with open arms, like that is a beautiful interaction. And that is definitely like my favorite part about the whole experience, is just like the relationships that you build and just the relationships that you build.
First game's against Illinois.
Yep.
Illinois is coached by one of my former clients, Brett Bielema.
Yeah.
You've met Brett. You've been to his camp.
Yeah.
I know that doesn't make any difference to you because you're playing whoever shows up.
Right.
But how cool is it to be playing a game against a coach that kind of comes full circle?
Yeah, it is cool, and hopefully I do something worth a handshake at the end of the game and maybe a wink, like, you got me. Damn, Domann got me. I should have known he was finna get me if I came to the Big Ten. So it'll be fun though. I'll have to give him some crap and I want to beat their ass.
That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to want to beat their butts, and they're supposed to want to beat you too. Let's talk about your little brother.
Yeah.
Not a little brother anymore.
Just my brother.
Just your brother. So how excited were you when Brock got the opportunity to go to Louisville?
I'll put it like this. Like Brock always believed in himself. One, because he's always been that way and he's wired that way. And, you know, he was raised that way. You guys always preach to us to believe in ourselves. And at some point that hit home. But another factor that helped him believe in himself was that his brother that he competed against, you know, all our childhood growing up and in high school, he saw his brother on this big time stage, and that always gave him hope that, you know, he is of that caliber. He is a Power 5 quarterback. He's always stood in that worth, and me being where I'm at helped solidify that in his head. So then for me, it is so cool to see my brother become what he's believed as true within for so long, but now it's manifested into his external reality. And it just, you know, it makes me want to double down on everything that I want to accomplish. So as long as, you know, you create the elevated emotion and hold that as true for yourself, then just wait and put in the work and trust the process, and it will materialize at some point. So that's definitely encouraged me from his journey.
Well, this might be a good time for me to announce my projection for 2021 bowl games.
Go ahead.
Nebraska is going to play Louisville in the bowl game.
I sure hope so.
So what happens if Brock is in the game and you're on the field? How's that going to feel?
I'm probably going to start calling blitzes. I'm gonna start.
You're gonna tell Chenander, "Hey, coach, I'm gonna do the play call."
Yeah, yeah. And he's watched, you know, I taught him. You know, we watched Nebraska film when, you know, I try to teach him about defenses and fronts and defensive schemes. So we'll definitely have to pull out a bag of tricks for him if it does come to that point.
That'd be cool. How do you expect to balance the demands of NIL with the season demands? And I think one of the reasons why you killed it last year was you were so focused. You were living in a hotel. You had a weekly regiment, you had a daily regiment, you had a game day regiment. How do you approach a game? You know, you don't have to go into great detail because I know it's pretty detailed, but
it is.
Give people an overview of, you know, it's not just go to practice, get your ankles taped, and show up on Saturdays.
Yeah, no, it looks nothing like that. It's a whole week thing. It's just like film wise, like you watch first and second down at the beginning of the week, you watch third down in the middle of the week, you're watching the last 3 games on Sunday and Monday, and so I mean the film progression builds throughout the week on top of, you know, like how you get your body right. So like Sundays is yoga, meditation, ice baths, Normatex, you know, elevating your lower body and just getting new blood throughout the whole system, and then building towards the end of the week, from how much you're eating, sleeping, drinking, like it all matters. It all matters. And just like finding joy in the process makes it a lot easier and less of a chore. Like knowing that the things I'm doing is gonna put me in the best position to be successful allows me to have joy in the process. And even if I don't have the best game, like imagine the game I would have had if I didn't take all the precautions and steps that I took throughout the week. So, yeah.
What is the one thing that you do now that maybe you didn't do earlier in your career that shows up on game day?
I think a couple things. The first thing is, the film study is night and day different. Like I watch maybe 10 times more film, last season than I did the season before, and I watched more film the 2 seasons ago than 3 seasons ago. So like the more responsibility I feel on the field, the more I want to be prepared. So the more film I watch.
What are you looking for in film? Just share with the average fan. What are you looking when you watch film? You're obviously not watching a movie. You're taking notes. You're looking for certain keys. Tell them what you're looking for.
Yeah. Well, on specific, so it's like situational film, like third down, like from 1 to 3, 3 to 7, 7 to 10, 11 plus yards. There's tendencies within those areas. And then formational, like there's only so many run plays they can do in certain formations. And then anticipating like, okay, the Y and the H are separated. Like we can get stretch, we can get power, and like, okay, so if I can boil it down to 2 or 3 run plays, like when they hit, like I'll be able to decipher which one it is within the first half a second, and I'll play faster. And then in the pass game, just like knowing how many steps like their out route is, or how many where they are lined up on the field, what's their splits when they're running Saints, or when they're running in-breaking routes versus out-breaking routes, literally everything.
I could see where that's very beneficial, especially about week 4, week 5, week 6 during the season. But when you have a school like Illinois that's got a new head coach, it's got a new OC that's never worked with the head coach, and are moving players around. One of their quarterbacks has moved to wide receiver. They brought in a guy from Rutgers that Noah Vedral was competing with. How do you prepare for week 1 when you don't have 3 games of data about what they do? I guess you just got to find coaching tendencies. Like Bielema's going to be in 12 personnel, using the big guys, establishing the run. Like that's just, common sense at this point. If he comes out and spread 10 personnel and tries to air it out on us, then so be it. But that's not who he's shown to be. And if he's going to get away from himself just to, be unpredictable, then so be it. We'll adjust. So you really don't care what they do. You're going to be ready.
Yeah, that's the mindset.
Okay, JoJo. So you talked about film study as being one of the major components to improving your game, as well as adding that to your weekly repertoire.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that's made a big difference in your performance?
Yeah. The single most thing is definitely like my meditation regimen, like all week, and specifically before the game.
What does that exactly mean?
Yeah, it means like truly losing yourself, losing your attachment to yourself and how you fit into the world, and getting in tune with your deeper why, your purpose, your mission. Letting go of your ego and just tapping into your heart center. That's what that means. And how that helps me is I'm not worried about what other people want me to be or how other people expect me to perform or expect out of me. I'm tapped in and tuned into who I expect me to be and who I want to be and how I'm going to do it. So it's an energy management tool for me, to where when I meditate throughout the week, before, after practices, and before and after games, it allows me to energetically open myself up to like the infinite possibilities that the game of football allows, rather than me being hyper focused on, I need to perform, we need to win, I need to get a pick, I gotta get X many tackles, I can't get beat on this play. Like it allows me to just tap into my free flowing life force energy and actually be myself. Not being a filtered version of myself, but just be myself.
For those that are interested, go a little deeper into what a meditation is like. Is it visualizing yourself being successful? Is it something else?
Yeah, so when I first started meditating, it was visualization. But the missing component of visualization is the emotion behind the visualization. So you can visualize anything, but if you don't associate and feel the emotion of that combined with the visualization, your body doesn't. It's just like a thought that passes and goes, the visualization. But if you attach your emotion to it and you hold an elevated emotion with the visualization, now your body remembers what that visualization feels like. So when you're holding that higher emotion during the game in real time, if you're holding that higher emotion, the visualization will manifest based on your emotion, because our bodies have a very intuitive brain.
Okay, so let's talk about where the rubber meets the road. Let's say you're playing, it doesn't matter, some Big Ten team, it's third quarter, it's 3rd and 9, you're on the field, certain defense is called. How does that emotional attachment to your visualization, how would it come into play at that moment?
Yeah, so it's in that moment, it's taking a deep breath. It's remembering the situation and why you're here, and not being wrapped up in the game like, oh my God, we need to get a stop. Like, oh, it's 3rd down and 3. Like, we got off the field here or we lose. It's like, it's 3rd and 3. Try me. Like, if they run this out route, I'm jumping it. And that confidence, that knowingness of what's about to happen is that like emotion, because you've rehearsed it in your mind and in your body all week and prior to the actual moment. So when the moment presents itself, it's not a surprise. You're almost expecting it, and now you're actually remembering it from your visualization meditations. You're remembering the moment as it's happening, so it's happening in slow motion.
Well, one of the things that I've seen with players is at the basic level, they just want to know the play call, want to know their job, and know their keys.
Yeah.
That's it. Then they start attaching the outcome to the play, which is, oh my God, if we don't get a stop, we may lose, or I may get taken out, and all these kind of things. And a lot of them are negative. And I think what you're doing is you're setting yourself up for success, because you're going to know the play call. It's almost second nature to know, hey, this is their personnel package, this is their formation, and then all of a sudden you can kind of have that recall from your film sessions that, hey, it could be A, B, or C.
Yeah.
And I think based upon the situation of the game, the place on the field, maybe what's going on in the clock, you kind of have an idea what might happen. And then you have this, take a deep breath, and then you have this emotion of almost freedom to just perform. That the best athletes perform when they have freedom to perform, not when they're feeling pressure. And so it's easier said than done, but does that accurately describe a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let's take a pivot here for a second. You've developed a relationship with Adrian Martinez, who's the starting quarterback, and you've kind of the leader on the defense. He's the leader on offense. Tell everybody what you expect from him, and then how your friendship is going to help the team.
I just have a lot of respect for Adrian, just because of all the scrutiny he's been under, the adversity that he's faced, not only on the field but off the field, that nobody knows about. Just going through this game of life, like he's a human being just like the rest of us, and he's gotten lost. He'll tell you firsthand, like, his identity was being a Nebraska quarterback and not true to himself as Adrian Martinez. So for him to kind of get swallowed up in the hype of college football and being the Nebraska star quarterback, to him then being humbled, and then being better from it, I just have the ultimate respect for him. And you're gonna see a dude playing his best football this year. Like, I truly believe that. He's a leader on and off the field. He leads by example. He's very magnetic. You magnetize to him. You want to be like him. You want to be doing what he's doing. If that's playing golf, if that's in the game room, or if that's on the football field, like, you want to follow in his footsteps, just because he does things authentically to him and in the right way with a good heart.
We are in a very unique time in college football, and they came up with this NIL program that started 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
What's your perspective on that?
I think it's ultimately a good thing that the players are being compensated. We're a full-time job, just football. On top of you tag on school on that. I think it's a good thing that the players are being presented with this opportunity to capitalize on their name, image, likeness, and.
Okay, so you're fortunate enough to have a mom that's been in the marketing world for a long time.
Yeah.
And you guys have been working together with some certain companies.
Yeah.
Would you like to share with everyone one of the opportunities you have?
Yeah. So a big thing for me, I've been really trying to build relationships and try to come up with like unique ideas and ways that we can give back to the community, serve the less fortunate, where literally everybody wins, spreading the wealth and capitalizing on this NLI opportunity. So one way we're doing that is with Edgewater Equity up in Omaha, where we picked out 12 charities for the 12 games we play, and for every home game they're gonna provide tickets for a handful of those of some people from that charity to come watch us play, and then I'm gonna have the opportunity to meet them, talk with them, take pictures with them after the game, while we're donating $1,000 to each charity per game. So everyone's winning. We're giving back. Edgewater and I are building this relationship. We're bringing brand awareness to their company, and I'm also getting compensated for being myself. So it's a win-win-win, and I'm really excited about it.
Well, that sounds great. I think one of the things that you guys did was find a way to be bigger than just an NIL program.
Yeah.
One of the things you did with NIL was you and Ben Stille put on a football camp in Lincoln.
Yeah.
Why don't you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, dude, that was sweet. We had 151 kids come out on Saturday, on the 17th, and we put them through a quarterback receiver station, a running back station, a Blackshirt station, and a speed and power station. And I did my best when coming up with like the drills within each group, like the most fun, applicable drills. So like a QB receiver station we had one of those giant pads. We gave them a running start, and they were just laying out on this pad for balls. A running back station, running over bags, like physical contact. Blackshirt station, having 50-50 balls thrown up to them, and one-on-one, like running back, defender, tackling, two-hand touch drills. And in the power and speed, we taught them. We had a guy come down and work with them about acceleration and change of direction, and then they went right over to a tug-of-war competition. So
who was the gentleman that helped you out for speed?
His name's Levi Gibson, and he ran track at Nebraska, and he does a little speed clinic up in Omaha, and he's trying to gain traction, but he's really good at what he does. He's an even better person. And then we had Brian Inselman, who's a head of Achieve Physical Therapy in Bellevue, Nebraska, come out. He led us in the warm-up, and he ran the power tug-of-war station, and that was awesome for me because he's a guy that I go to at least once a week during the season just to get tuned up, and he knows my body and he knows my heart, and he's just a great human in general. So to have guys like that come out and to pour into the camp, along with like the 10 plus Husker volunteers that we had, on top of Ben Stille's family friends that came out, and then to have the whole pro football camp staff basically on board, it was a festival of love and a football camp that just truly served everybody. I think from you to me to every kid there, like we enjoyed ourselves, and we appreciated the moment.
Why don't you share for our audience one of the topics that you and Ben talked about with the kids and the parents, which is, what does Husker mean? What does Husker mean?
Husker, when we broke it down, was H is for honor, honoring the game, honoring your teammates, and honoring yourself. To be a Husker football player, you gotta honor like the people that came before you, and what this program means to the state. Like, we don't want anybody playing for our team that doesn't think Husker football is more important than the people in the stands. So we have to care more than anybody else, and that shows up as respecting yourself and showing respect for everybody you come across. The U in Husker, we stood for unselfishness, and how to be a Husker, you got to put the team first, and there's no I in team, and how like that selfishness really spreads like a wildfire within the locker room, and in either scenario is contagious. If positive unselfish energy is contagious, just as contagious as negative selfish energy. The S is sacrifice. To play at this level, you got to sacrifice the things you want for the things you need. Sacrificing video games for yoga. Sacrificing junk food for healthy food. Sacrificing staying out late for sleep. I mean, it's those little things that go a long way, and to be the best of your ability, you got to be able to sacrifice the things that don't build towards what you're building towards. The K in Husker stands for knowingness, going back to that confidence and belief. Like, if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. When you have a whole group of guys that believe in themselves, thus they believe in each other and they believe in the common mission and purpose, I don't think there's anything that could stand in their way. Doesn't mean they won't lose games, but they're gonna give themselves the best opportunity to succeed. The E in Husker stands for energy. Your energy is ultimately fueled by your self-efficacy and how much you do believe in yourself, and really just owning the energy you bring each and every day. Some days you're not going to feel it. Other days you're going to be high on life, and just trying to find a consistency with what you bring to the table, and even when you don't have it all, feeding off the guys around you that do. And when you're bringing the energy, picking up somebody that might have low energy fuel that day. And then the last thing that it takes to be a Husker is resilience. Is that never give up attitude, that find a way attitude. Not everything's going to go your way. Adversity is part of success. You got to be resilient to get anything worthwhile in life. Nothing worthwhile comes easy. So just in the face of adversity, when the world's telling you no, you're telling yourself yes, and you continue to push forward and through whatever obstacles are standing in your way. So yeah, that's Husker for you.
Okay, JoJo, last question. Obviously, you grew up in a football family. We drove Mom and Riley crazy because we talked about football. You and I and Brock talked about football almost every night at dinner, whatever it may have been. We talked on car rides. We talked about ball. Mom's become a football fanatic. I think she thinks she knows more football than we do. Mm-hmm. What was it like growing up in a football family, and maybe specifically as you've seen a lot of my clients over the years succeed and fail, what impact did that have on your filter of football?
Well, yeah, I guess that's a loaded question.
I know, it's a tough question, man. Your brain's probably going in 20 different directions.
Yeah, it is. I guess it programmed Brock and I to really just be about what we're about. Like, we didn't have to pretend to be anything that we weren't. We weren't trying to play football, but then our parents were harping on us to, be dancers. We were all about football, and everything that we did and talked about reflected that. And I think that really cultivated this love for the game and this belief that, we're made for this. So even when Brock's, jumping from JUCO to FCS, back to JUCO to another JUCO, like, how was he able to maintain that belief in himself and that belief in his dream? Well, it was cultivated, and from he started throwing the ball around to that moment. So it all led up to that. And then the same could be said about me and holding the vision of, all my dreams within the game of football during my injuries. It really just it was the foundation. Our childhood was the foundation of where we're at right now. We wouldn't change it for the world. The good, the bad, the ugly, everything about it has led us to this moment. And I'm just pumped to create the next moment, and hopefully and surprise ourselves. Like, Brock surprised us all when he went to an ACC Power 5 school, but did he really? Like, we were all kind of expecting it. Like, it's going to be surprising when I take an interception to the house, but is it really? It'll be surprising when I go in whatever round I go in, but it won't really, because we've all been expecting it to happen, because we've been 10 toes down on this process since we can remember.
Agree. I said that was the final question, but I got one more.
Yeah.
What's the word for 2021 for Nebraska football? What's one word and why? For your teammates.
Am I speaking on behalf of my team?
You answered however you want.
Our one word is believe. Believe. We have a lot of guys that this is going to be their first full season. A lot of guys that have been in the program, put in the work, but now it's their time to shine. We have a bunch of guys that have been here, have played 4 seasons now, and have had experience. And we just got to believe that we're going to win the next game. We have to believe in each other. We got to believe in the process and in ourselves and everything that we've done and created up to this point, that we will prevail in the face of adversity. And yeah, let's just believe, baby.
That's awesome. Well, we're going to believe again right now because we're going to go get some food. It's dinner time. I want to thank you for being on Pro Mindset.
Yeah, thanks, Pops.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Pro Mindset. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. You can follow us on our website, promindsetpodcast.com, or on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Pro Mindset Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you the next time.